52nd year. Let me make sure I get it right now. The 52nd year, 3 weeks into it. And Bahamians, we have a lot of work to do. I have some issues that have been suggested to me that I should put on air today. I'm going to follow that advice. And they're not constitutional issues per se, because you know I deal with the constitutions on Monday. And I can deal with some constitutional issues next Monday. But let me just say this. I heard the cry of the lady in Foxhill whose son was murdered last night. And I believe the media is doing a terrible disservice to the average Bahamian. Let me explain what I mean. The mother is under tremendous stress. Her son was slaughtered right in a place in the yard. She heard the gunshots and she called out, I think his name is Oral. I listened to the report about twice. And the thing is that this young man was supposed to have a great future, great potential. Now he's gone. Some people decided to eliminate him off the planet. The media is doing a terrible disservice to the average Bahamian. Now that mother, that interview should not have been allowed on air. That woman was under tremendous distress and she could not defend herself. No one was there to give her any sound advice as to what she should say and what she shouldn't say. And the media just let it come out just like that. This isn't the first time this has happened. But I've been listening and watching for a while. And I decided I should make a comment on it today. And hopefully the media will change its tactics in dealing with very sensitive and very serious issues like murder. This woman does not know anything about law. That's point number one. Constitutional law, that's out of the question. But statute law, no. She could incriminate herself. She could put herself in danger. She could put members of her family in danger. Those remarks went out, and a lot of people would have heard them. Perhaps some people recorded them and playing it over and over again. But it is to the detriment to the woman and her family, and the media ought to know better. Why do you do this to the average Bahamian citizen who is virtually defenseless? They don't know how to defend themselves. And someone should have been there to caution her, to encourage her, and give her advice as to how she should express herself, rather than allowing her to say the things that she said on radio and on the television. The media needs to be very sensitive to the pain and the suffering of our mothers in the country. Mothers are very close to their sons, you know, no matter what these boys do. My mother had 6 boys, and she was very close to her boys. She would rather have boys than girls. She had 6 and she had 3 girls, plus 3 grandboys. That's a total of 12 pigeons in the house. My mother and father would never, ever take up for us doing anything wrong. They were very strict parents. And they made sure I kept us in line because they didn't want no police around the house. They didn't want anyone coming doing foolishness and nonsense. They laid the rules down very, very strict. Now, I'm not saying that this mother did not, because sometimes in today's world, children are influenced by their peers. We hardly see strong parental control in existence today. Even inside the church, it doesn't exist. It has been watered down, Bahamians. It's extremely weak. The family structure is weak. It needs to be strengthened. And I asked the question, where's Daddy? You notice how silent the fathers of these boys are. They never appear in the picture. You don't hear them say anything. Deafening silence from the fathers of these children. You hear the mothers. The mothers cry out for their children, and I don't blame them. But hanging this woman out to dry is not a good thing for her nor for her family. And I think the media ought to be more responsible with their reporting. In fact, some of them should not say anything to them. I would caution them. Because you can be doing far more damage to yourself, your family, your associates than you would realize. We're living in a cruel society, Bahamians. Even I have to be cautious what I say. I got to think very carefully what I say on air. Many people are listening to this show today, and that's fine. That's all well and good, as long as they carry it straight. Because once it comes out of my mouth on the airwaves, I'm not backing down from that. That's just the way it is. Now, if something I don't want to tell you, I'm going to hear it. It's not going to slip out of my mouth because I'm under some sort of pressure to say it, because it won't be said. I've learned how to control myself and had assistance from my teachers, my elders, who taught me very well. And I'm grateful for that kind of upbringing and teaching, because if I didn't have that, I don't know where I would have been today. But thank God for Mommy and Daddy and the teachers in the schools, in the church, in college, and other institutions of learning that I had to pass through. But I was very concerned about the mother of this young man. In fact, the report is that he was the third person who was to be questioned in relation to this robbery. There's a huge robbery that occurred. 1.5 million is the amount apparently seized and stolen. And that's the third victim that's gone down. Bahamians, if you don't know it yet, we are losing too many males in this country. We already have a shortage of males. We have them dying on the scooters, crashing into walls, drowning in the water, losing control in the air on these private planes. We have lost control. And we need to get our house in order. And I heard another host on another talk show and another particular personality on that particular show saying all kinds of things. But what is it that you're going to stand on? What is the standard? People are questioning, is the Bahamas a Christian nation? And we just seem to blame everybody except ourselves. If you look at human beings, Bahamians, you're going to see flaws, you're going to see weaknesses, and you're going to question some things, and you need to look at yourself too, because you're just like them. The same flaws, the same weaknesses, the shortcomings. You may have greater shortcomings than them. But the point is, if you look at the behavioral patterns of human beings only, instead of having a standard to go by, and there is a standard to go by, and the nation is constantly under attack because of the standard that was set for the nation to walk in. Now, we are walking contrary to some sound, basic, fundamental principles that we have to put into practice. That's the only way things will change, if we put it into practice. But if we keep blaming human beings who have flaws, weaknesses, shortcomings, mistakes, and some who are not even prepared to repent, they'll tell you plainly, I did nothing wrong. They don't see anything wrong with what they are doing. Now, there's a way to deal with them kind of people. I won't get into all of that today. I can leave that for another day. But the thing is that we have a responsibility as citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to make the Bahamas a better place. And I'm committed and dedicated to do that on this 21st day in our 52nd year. Payments 3 weeks have already gone into our 52nd year. We got to take this thing seriously. This is the 31st of July. 21 plus 10 is 31, so that's 21 days, 3 weeks. I'm saddened by the fact that we have too many murders in the country. Every time you look around, there's another murder. What is contributing to these murders? Do we have enough investigative power through the Royal Bahamas Police Force? Because they're the ones who are supposed to be investigating. Plus, they have to investigate their own. There's a high-ranking personality on that force who is now being investigated. And we're not sure how soon we will get any answer to the investigation. I know of another case, and I'm thinking of a number of cases that were supposed to be investigated in the past by the same Royal Bahamas Defense Force. No, Police Force. Let me get it right now. I didn't mean the Defense Force, the Police Force, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, where the commissioner at the time told us that these matters would be investigated. I wonder if those cases have gone cold. They were murder cases. Maybe they didn't get sufficient information. Maybe they were stalled. Maybe they couldn't find witnesses and so on. Any number of things could have happened. We are yet to get answers from the Royal Bahamas Police Force on some very serious matters that occurred in the past. Now we have more that have been added. How much more can they take? How much investigation can the Royal Bahamas Police Force do and at the same time protect the citizenry of the Bahamas and the visitors of the Bahamas? And the aliens too, because you know, no person is to have any inhumane or degrading treatment. That person could be an alien, that person could be a citizen, that person could be a visitor, whatever. No person. The point is we have so many things happening, we could hardly keep up with it now. Bank robberies, armed robberies of businesses. When is it all going to end? When are we going to see a change in the behavioral patterns of our people? We are losing too many young men. We have already lost too many. How many more are we prepared to lose? Because those spots are still vacant. Those who die in the hospital. And outside the hospital, all of them can't get into the hospital. So they die at home. From some ailment of one kind or another. We have to take good care of our health, Bahamians. It is something we have to struggle with in 2024. People have to determine, am I going to pay the rent? Or I'm going to have to buy food for these hungry children in this house? Then he decides he got to get some food for the children because the children came, Daddy, I need something to eat. And Daddy has to have the money to pay for whatever it is he wants to get for those children. But my mother and father, they gave you what they felt you should have. You didn't tell them you want this or you want that. Today, parents allow their children to decide what it is they want. That may have its place, but it may be to the detriment of parents who may not be able to afford what the child wants. And then the child gets into a frenzy. You have to give the child what you can afford. If you cannot afford it, you have to tell them, no, we can give you an alternative to that. But are we doing that? We have a breakdown in parental control in this country. terrible breakdown. When these murders occur, you don't hear anything about the fathers. Where are the fathers of these boys? These are still children, you know. They may think there's a man. But we are losing them, Bahamians. We need to look at that very seriously. Why is it that we are losing many males in the Commonwealth of Bahamas? We're a small nation. We don't have that many people in here. We're losing some women too. What is fueling all of these murders? Have we been able to find that out? Maybe the police force can answer that for us. Because they have a lot of statistical information. They do a lot of investigations. They got piles and piles of information. So they should know what is fueling the murders. Why is it that young males are so restless, so quick to kill, to destroy each other? Why? There must be an answer. You think about that, Bahamians, because we want to discuss that to some degree in this show today. Why? Why is it that the fathers are absent? That's one question. Why are our young men so hasty to destroy? They're not thinking. And then, of course, the situation with the guns. Where are all these guns coming from? The police force showed a lot of guns the other day. But we didn't see the people who handle the guns. Where are they? You had to show us these personalities who are involved in that kind of trade. Where are they? The guns don't just jump up and decide I can go and shoot someone. Someone has to be behind the gun. You lay a stack of guns on this table. No one touches them. No one moves them. They stay right there. They can't harm nobody. But if you have a stack of guns in your house and the police get to find out about it, they're going to come and check your house out. And they'll tell you shouldn't have those guns in your house. But the guns of themselves and by themselves cannot harm anyone. It's the personality behind the gun that is the danger. That's when it's dangerous. But they found in someone's house in Grand Bahama some guns, a good number of guns, and some, what is suspected, let me use the word they use, suspected to be a large-scale amount of marijuana. So people are still dealing with marijuana and perhaps even cocaine and some other things that they would use. So why are we having all these things? We have guns, we have illegal drugs, we have drug trafficking, we have smuggling. They say human smuggling, that's different from the drug trafficking. That's what they tell me. But these people told anything. Anything that would bring some money to them, a few dollars to them, turn their head the other way and say, I'm going to let this one go by and I can get some money for this. But that is dangerous for your country, very dangerous. And your life could be in danger. And I think the lady should have been cautioned. She should not have been allowed to say those things on the radio. And the radio station played it several times. It's dangerous, Bahamians. She should have been cautioned. And this isn't the first time this happened. You know, I listened to this several times and I say to myself, I'm going to speak to it today. Because it dawned on me, the media has to be more responsible in such sensitive issues where people's lives are at stake. And one has to exercise caution as to how you say these things. My mother always said to me, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I've learned that every time I sit in front of these live microphones, it's not what the professor says, it's how he says it. I always remember the advice from my dear mother. And it comes to me all the time as I'm sitting right here in front of these live microphones, speaking to you live on the Global Radio Network. So I'm quite prepared for what I'm doing here. And you aren't going to get anything from me what I don't want you to know. So make sure I get that in your head too. You just won't hear it from me. There's some things I cannot say on the airwaves because it would not be in the best interest to do that. But there's some things I can speak to. And one has to exercise sensitivity. We have to be very cautious. We have to be sensible. Not scared now in the sense that you are afraid. No. Let me make that clear. The Constitution allows for freedom of expression. Freedom to impart ideas and opinions without interference. Now, those freedoms, those ideas and opinions don't have to be right, you know. It didn't say they have to be correct. But then you shouldn't tell lies on people anyhow. You can express an opinion, you can express an idea, you can express a suggestion, a comment. And it doesn't have to have any basis. That's just how you feel about something. But you do not lie on people. That's a whole horse of a different color. So you should not come to the radio with lies. So I avoid that altogether, and I caution people on that. You can express a view on something that a public official would have said. And what I like to do is get it right down to the nitty-gritty. This is what the man said. This is what the woman said. Now, some of you try to interpret these things, what they say. I do not do that. I say it the way they said it. Now, let them explain what they meant by what they said. If they write it, child, please. I scrutinize that with a fine-tooth comb. That is what the man wrote. That is what he put in print. Exactly and precisely the way he said it, or she said it. Now, when it comes to law, that's a whole horse of a different color. When you're dealing with what the law says and what the particular personality said, you could get two different things right there. But let me just say that we have to help our people, like this lady, and others like her in the community, because we got plenty of them. Now, Fox Hill has been hit with a number of murders. I'm saddened by that, because I know a lot of people in Fox Hill. And there have been some murders in my area too, so we are not excluded. Not as many, but, you know, one or two that have occurred. And it was people who came into the constituency, committed their dirt, and then went back out. That's why you have to be careful who you hang around with, Bahamians. You have to be very careful. So sometimes when people offer me a ride, I don't accept it. They may know me, yes. But then Professor, I have to say now, he has to protect his own interests. And I mightn't have seen that person for a while. I don't know what they have in the car. That's another thing. They might have some things in there, and the police find Professor in there. Here he is in this car, 10 guns in the car, the back trunk. I don't know nothing about it. I was just catching a ride. But the man said you were there. So how I can convince him that those things don't belong to me? Automatically he's going to believe that I am trafficking in guns. That's a carnal reaction. So what about the innocent person who may know someone well and they catch a ride, but that particular personality has some substance in that car or that vehicle? You don't know. You trust the individual. And then the police stops you, searches the car. Then the two of you get arrested. That's how they operate. That's how they do things. So you have to exercise caution and restraint. Because it's easy to get into trouble, but very difficult to get out of it. Now, there are people who can vouch for your character. And if they come to the forefront and testify on your behalf, and people who know you now, I'm not talking about people who think they know you, but people who know your character, know your behavior, know how you live, what kind of person you are, they know you to that extent, and could say, no, I know Professor Thompson does not traffic in guns. That's not him. Maybe somebody else, but not him. But it's a sticky situation, and you don't want to get caught up in that. But you trust your friend. That's your friend. You took a ride with him or her. But you don't know what's in the car. So sometimes your mind will tell you, don't go in that car. Stay out of there. And you avoid a lot of trouble by not going. Because once you get caught up in that, it is very difficult to get out of it. The lines are open 3260271, 3260272. Don't mind me, I'll talk to the man, come back. There are a number of issues I'm going to put on the table because there were some concerns by some people who told me about these things, and I have to bring it forth, being the host of this show. It won't be constitutional today, because sometimes I slip into Constitution. You know that. But then the thing is, we have some other issues that affect the Bahamian people. We haven't even touched them. But we have to touch them, Bahamians. We got to discuss them. We have to talk about them. And we must do something about them. Don't tell me we can just talk about it and just leave it like that. Oh, no, 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 no. That ain't happening no more. This is year 52. This is 3 weeks into our 52nd year. Let's start getting some things done. Lines are open 3260271, 3260272, and 8130271. Boy, I got that number correct. That's the fax line, not the WhatsApp line. I got to get these words right. WhatsApp line. We'll be back after the break.
Expression.
One name you can call on. Vanderkill Initial. Call us at 322-2157.
From South Beach to Bay Street,
I'm pleased, I really dig your company.
it's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. This is a great day to be in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. This is the last day of the month, Bahamians, July 31st. Are we going to see no more murders in the Bahamas for the next 5 months? We need to ask ourselves that question. Can we stop that? And of course, Facebook made some comments. I want to just comment on a few things that they have put out there. And I did say to Facebook people that some of the things you put out are kind of colorful. And I got to figure out how I'm going to speak to it. But it's not like that at this point, from what I've heard so far, what has been coming in. So that's good. But it's good for people to express themselves, because there's one that is saying that the criminals, the rapists, the robbers, all the criminal element of the world, seeking out the Bahamas. Is that true or false? Because we have some strange things happening in the Bahamas. You notice how some people come here, say they're snorkeling, and then all of a sudden they end up dying in the Bahamas, snorkeling in the water. Have you noticed the number of persons who that has happened to? Or some people go out paddling and then they get bitten by a shark. And then, of course, we had a particular personality in the Bahamas and it's interesting how people talk about this particular personality. Do you know who you're looking for? Can you clearly identify the particular individual? That was a problem. And as far as I know, that particular individual has not yet been found. Because if you don't know what you're looking for or what to look for, that's confusing, Bahamians. If you give out misinformation and the information is not correct, how can the police help you? You have to be clear to the police. The police would like to assist and help. And for those of you having these problems with relationships, that seems to be quite a problem in the Bahamas today, male and female relationships. Then, of course, you have that other set of people who have some other strange things. I'll just leave it like that. And they get offended when you talk about it, you know. But that's your lifestyle. That's the way you want to live. What the heck you expect people to do? 2 males, 2 females having a sexual relationship. And then it spells out into trouble. But I'm talking about the male and the female relationship that we have in our country, predominantly. I hope the other is not going to be predominant in this country. 2 males, 2 females. Come on, what are we saying? In a Christian nation like the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, we got to hammer it down. What are we standing for? You can't keep your hand or your foot up in the air. You're on the ground. You got 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot up in there. You can't walk properly like that. You got to have your 2 feet on the ground. You must know what you are standing for. It seems to me as if there's this constant interference in relationships, either by the male, the female, or both. They can't see eye to eye. And then it spills out into trouble. Break up, go back, break up, go back. And at some point down the road, someone is murdered because of this off and on relationship. Why do we have to be living like that? Why do we get into situations like that? Baby, you got to help me with this, because I'm asking the questions. Why do we have to get into those kind of relationships? Why? What is the purpose? What good purpose does it serve? I don't know of any good purpose. What I do see is destruction because plenty of people in their graves who could have been here. Bodies found all over the place. Bodies of our young women. And the abuse on women and children in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Now, how we get like that? Now, that's going on. I have to agree with that. And of course, they talk about suicides, but I won't talk about that today. I have some other views on that one. But there are problems with relationships, the male and female, and then children being involved, that's another problem. The children are affected. Mommy and daddy have some difficult issues, and the children are caught right in the midst. That's why the family has to be structured. If you're going to have children, then there's certain things you ought to be doing. And you're going to have to be responsible for your behavior. And some people just do it and they don't seem to care as to what happens to these children or what their responsibilities are. Okay? Now, also on Facebook, they talk about irresponsible behavior, which continues to mount up. And this causes people to continue because they're not corrected, particularly people in leadership positions. Extremely irresponsible behavior, which cause all kinds of problems. And you have people with power and authority. They use their power, they use their authority to get what they want. And whoever's in the way will just have to bear the brunt of it. Now, there are those who say that there are persons who can't speak for themselves. Now, I will put it this way. There are some people who may be timid, who may be afraid, and they don't want to say anything for fear of, victimization. But I thought the man told me victimization was a thing of the past. That's what I heard. Maybe that's not true. Maybe you need to tell me about that. Are you being victimized in one way or the other? Is victimization in this country going on because you spoke out on something or you said no to something that someone wanted you to do which was not good and they took advantage of you? You became vulnerable. Did you report it? You have to report these things to the authorities. But the man told me some time ago victimization was banished, at least from his perspective. But you got some others who say I can keep victimization alive, taking advantage of people in the wrong way and doing things to them that are not proper or decent. We have to deal with that. Labor relations in this country. Do we have labor problems? I would have thought by now, after all this time, we should have had every labor problem solved. But the man told me that we have lost some things that were fought for in the past, and we don't have it today. So when we can get it back? What are we prepared to do to get our labor relations in order so we can have a better country, a better nation, a better people? Because you see people going around and they are not able to do much. because they're under extreme pressure. And their family is affected. Their children are affected. And if they have elderly residents, elderly parents, same thing, they're affected too. So that stress and that burden rests on these people. And I can tell you from years of experience, this is the most stressful year ever in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The most stressful. Far worse than last year. And the understanding is 75 murders have already occurred. No, it's 76, 77. 77 by now. Because one just occurred last night. You got 77 on the list that are known now. Those what we know about. Now there may be some we ain't know about yet, so they ain't in the count. But some strange things are happening in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I believe we have a caller on the line. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson.
Hey, what's happening? This Angela.
Yes, sir.
What happened to our young man? You ain't see us losing all these men.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Listen to me, Daddy.
Yeah. Okay.
When I can give you a timeline quickly.
Okay.
In 2012, after the PLP won,
yes,
I engaged Mr. Wilson, financial secretary. That's how I met Mr. Wilson when the PM office was where Old Scotia Bank was before they sold it to Bahama.
Okay, fine.
I went as a young man. I introduced myself at 29. I told him what I used to. And I gave him some understanding of my qualification. And he said, Hanchel, when the next election, after the next election, we change government, I can engage you on a project. The project they called SMEDA, Small Medium Enterprise Development Agency. So I can give you some history. This was in 2012. We began the project in 2013. It started off as, initially there was foreigners doing the project or were scheduled to do the project. When I came in, I told Mr. Wilson it would be best for us to start with local consultants. I pretty much was the one that advocated that the government start to use more local consultants versus foreign consultants. He was able to source about 8 consultants locally, Bahamians, who worked on the project. I was the 8th. I was the youngest. I was about 30 at the time. I worked on that project for the first component. There was 2 components to this project. SMEDA, it was the consultancy and surveying component, where at the time VAT, they was considering to implement VAT, and the people was rejecting VAT. The business community had been rejecting VAT from 2013 2014. So under the program, the SMEDA program, we was able to collect data for small businesses because they were saying that they was going to pass the SME Act and then they was going to implement SMEDA, the development agency. Okay, Small Medium Enterprise Development Agency. That was on the second component after we completed the first component. We were successful at the first component, but then I had an issue with the government at the time, with Alcides, because I told him that based on how I learned after I got word of how they was approaching VAT, I told Mr. Alcides that we was in a meeting, and I told Mr. Wilson, and I said to them that, listen, if you could put VAT on people and you targeting it at sales, I say you got to understand who this can impact. This can impact the poor people more than the rich. They're supposed to put income tax on the rich from 2014, but that's why they're going with VAT, and that's why they're going with VAT on sales, because it means poor people pay more. Most rich people own the shops and they buy wholesale. Only poor people buy retail, so they spend. So VAT is every time you spend times X. So VAT is not just a fixed. It would have been better if they put income on the people versus VAT. I told them that unless you put a revenue generation plan to mediate or mitigate the increase in VAT, to ensure that persons are able to increase their revenues or income, you will collapse this economy.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, I told them that based on the VAT Act, they wasn't even following it from day one. They didn't do thus said the Lord, according to what the VAT Act had prescribed and instructed them to do. Now, fast forward to this time, we have a problem with finding funding, financing, and people living in deficit. Every month, people can't barely pay their rent. People can't barely pay their mortgage. People can't barely pay their light bill. At the same time, I was a consultant. I was working on solar, renewable energy. I met Graham in 2009. He was doing standalone systems, and so I decided to go in portable power. renewable energy. I showed them a working portable solar generator in 2013. I used to stand out on East Street South and demonstrate my product. I have pictures I could show on Facebook where I used to stand outside and put out and take my lamp out of my house and put it on a stand and light up my lamp through my generator with my flexible panel. I used to roll out. And I had persons that could come in and I could explain to them exactly how it works. I approached the government on mass distribution and production assembly line, but from not the way it was back in the 1920s when they emerged, but taking it to training, and people were able to now learn how to assemble these units, and then they could sell these units online from their comfort of their home. They could buy the assembly parts, assemble it, sell online, ship it out, export. So I was trying to impact so many different areas as a young man. But then after that, I left the government. I didn't return on the second component because because at the end of the day, it didn't make no sense when I see the destruction that what they were going to do was going to hurt the people. And I didn't want to be a part of that because I didn't want to be when people see me living behind gates, going with the program to destroy them.
Yes.
And I getting paid to do it when I giving them plans to empower the people. See, my company name at the time I was registered under was SDC, Bahamas, Small Business Serving Development Companies.
Okay.
And that's the same business that when SBDC came into existence in 2017, the new financial secretary called me because he was referred, I was recommended by them to be a consultant to SMEET, to SBDC. After I was invited to the training and I saw that the person who they brought in to train was inferior to what I had already created in my business, I walked out the training before it started and I called Martin Johnson. I told him to keep the money in the treasury because I'm not sitting the training because it's not superior to my training. And I told him that I would like to partner with the government because it would be easier for me because we're doing the same things and I want to protect my intellectual property. I was denied partnership, and that's why I closed my business, SDC Bahamas, down to the public. I used to write business plans.
Okay.
That's just a nutshell I wanted to share with you in terms of when you talk about what happened to the young man. What happened to the young man is, as a young man, I saw elders try to kill us, destroy us, and I had to fight through that.
Now,
not every young man like me.
Wait, hold on now. You slow down a little bit now. You say elders. Define
everybody older than me, everyone older than me at 30, everyone older than me is my elder. And they was not in support of me and they were trying to destroy me.
Well, it's a broad term now when you use the word elders trying to destroy you. You have to specify that.
That's what I said. Elders in terms of at 30, anyone over 30, older than me, is my elder.
Are you saying all of them are that way? That's what you're saying?
And so everyone that I encountered...
Hold on now. Are you saying elders collectively are trying to destroy you? Who older than you are? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that when I say elders, not all elders, but those that I encountered in the areas that I discussed, the persons I mentioned, they are elders to me. I was 30, and these men were in their 40s. I came to them with innovation and ideas and creativity to take my nation forward. Okay. I invested in these programs, these pilots myself. I didn't come looking for money to invest in something to get it done. I had already invested monies in products and showed them working solutions to problems that we're experiencing today.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to get that clear, because...
you see? And so what they did in 2017 after, that's why I said, if you follow my campaign, it was big on letting the Bahamian people know that they are misusing the tax or the treasury fund.
Yes.
I had been calling for an audit for the treasury so we could determine if in fact that the money that's allocated to these ministries and agencies from the treasury, if they are actually being used according to what they request the money for from the treasury, because every ministry has to tell the treasury what they can use the money for.
Well, they ought to.
But then when they get the money don't be used for what they say they can use it for.
Oh, okay.
That's hence why we have problems in the ministry operations.
Okay, fair enough.
You see?
Okay, yeah, that's
and so even with the BTC, as you see that we have already filed an injunction, BCP party along with myself, Independent Financial, filed an injunction for the cease and desist of the BPL operation and then ask for judicial review by the courts to show the Bahamian people how they are taking advantage of us.
Okay. Well,
and it's not fair.
Well, you have the new Electricity Act 2024 June 1, which they ought to be following.
which they aren't.
Oh, which they're not. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Then. Okay.
And so the court, and that's why we didn't take the stance to protest and to talk and to agitate. No. We want the courts are there for law and order. And now is a moment where the court need to intervene between the government and the people
Okay.
and to determine if the action of the government is treasonous or if they're permitted by law to carry out in the works that they're doing.
Okay.
It took a private company to audit us to tell us what the government has failed to tell us over the last 3 years. How should I feel as a young man, 41?
Okay.
Why are they doing this?
Yes. Well,
And
what
then
about
Bahamian people will abuse. Then, but let me finish this, Mr. Thompson.
okay.
And then Bahamians will see you speaking out against corruption. And these very same people who you fighting for will be the ones who will try to destroy your business and destroy your life and destroy your marriage. And we ain't just talking about people associated with the party. We're talking about family. Because these people so deep, they will get to your family as they have done to mine and turn them against you. Everyone. And if you were not God and had a trade, a talent to turn it into some money to take care of you and your family, Mr. Thompson, I was supposed to be living in the bush or living on the streets. But God said no.
Okay.
That's what my family wanted for me.
Let me just ask you this question. What about other young people like yourself? Is there something that, are they working along with you or you stand alone? Or how does that work?
Well, you know, in this country, well, I came from foreign. So most of these kids, most of the young people in this country, they all in the same brain because they all came from the same educational system and they never really break it. So they all, like I say, you know,
they're not saying what you were saying? Is
no,
that it?
they don't say, they don't hear my language. They don't understand my language. They fight it down. If you go on my post, if I say a post on Facebook, you would be surprised how much negative comments I would receive because it goes against what they believe and they're fighting for in their mind. They think their party, see, when you talk against their party in their mind, because they get one of their $20 from their party, they think that's the whole Bahamas getting $20. So they defending that. But they know that they talking the cry, they talking the pain. They talking the ones who suffering and who trying to speak out. I used to meet with Mr. Wilcombe for a whole year before he died. And you know what Mr. Wilcombe said to me? I said, you know they know you smart, right? But you know they ain't gonna go with you because they say they can't trust you. You know you're supposed to be in this digital technology conference that they having up in Bahama, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know they ain't really down with that because of what you stand for. I was trying to get Mr. Wilcombe to introduce a program at the social service level to identify people that are unemployed and maybe in need to determine what type of business we could create for them so they could now become self-sufficient, even if they are temporary on social relief.
Yes.
They denied that, Uncle.
Okay.
So when people around me and thinking they don't know what they've been doing for this country and how much no's, how much letters from the fund, the investment fund I got would say no, Hanchel, from Ministry of Tourism when I wanted to take a group of artisans in a trade show in foreign and they say no, Hanchel, and had two artisans stuck in an airport because they failed to come through for their own people.
Yeah.
I've been through it as a young man, 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Now 41. That's why I run independent because I know what I want. I want help the Bahamian people. Whether they believe that or they understand it or not. Eventually they can see that. But they only get a time because I'm here for a season.
Yes. Okay.
God only promised me 7 years, 70 years. And right now I at my prime, my 41. So if the Bahamian people allow all this wisdom and this youth to now be destroyed by the leaders who pretending to love them, but they could see based on the results that the decisions make that they're all living in poverty. Well, then let them stay right there, Uncle.
Well, boy, we got plenty of poverty around here. I could tell you
that's what they know. Why you think they're scared of me, Uncle? Because they know when I come in, I come to make a difference.
Let me just ask you this then, because I'm listening to carefully what you're saying. What is it that we can do to get people to think more positively about situations that affect them in the country? How can we deal with that?
The country has to collapse. See, if we continue to do the job of the politicians who we elect to do the job, and they ain't doing it, and we doing it, we saving the country. So why are they there? So the country have to decide. Then, if I can do your job, then I need to fire you. Because when I hire people, and I see I working more than them, I just pay them and tell them go home.
Okay.
That's why I work by myself, because I don't get time for people to come and try to sucker me and make me think that they can use me or I some fool. No, you come to work, then work, because you're getting paid top dollars. You're getting paid more than you're paid minimum wage. And they doing their job every day on time. But they want to be miserable and complaining. Don't complain to me. Give me good service.
Yes, sir.
You see?
Hansel, I admire your courage, and we have to find a way how to break through this.
No, it's happening because you did it. Mr. Thompson, you was the only person who have now decided to take a stance and teach the people the Constitution, and outside Ali Martintosh, provide Hansel an outlet and listen and actually have a conversation to give the viewers and listeners an understanding of what Hansel is trying to say,
Yes,
versus what they try to paint. You know it is, Uncle, to get kicked out of every person who you say you love house.
yes,
You and your family, you and your wife and your daughter, your mommy house, your auntie house, your Grammy house, your in-law house, everybody don't have nothing doing that, and got you feeling like you was a criminal and you bringing something to the table. So I had to then take a step back in that hole that they pushed me and my wife in, and every day we have to pull ourselves out of that. And that's why I thank God for the strength He gave me and the talent and trade He gave me, and through the good works, they can't stop my food.
okay.
No matter how much they try.
Well, thank you, Brother Hansel. I appreciate your comments.
Yes, my brother.
I'm gonna take after
And
this
do
break.
well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Brother Hansel had a lot to say, and young people, I'm gonna have to comment on what he said when we get back to the other side of the show. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. Mr. Hansel had a lot to say, and we have to find a way how to get around these things. We'll be back after the break.
Express yourself live. From Cable Beach to Montague, it's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is a great day to be in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. Today is the last day of July 31st. We're 3 weeks into our 52nd year, and I allowed Mr. Hanschel to express himself. He's a young man. He has talent, he has ability, he has potential. And Bahamians, we must not stifle the young people. We must allow them to express themselves, to make their contribution for building a nation. They have a contribution to make. Now, he talked about his experience with the government of the Bahamas and how doors have been shut on him by persons who were elected to assist him and others like him for the development of this country. Now, I did say I didn't want to get into constitutional matters, but based on what he said, I have to speak to the Constitution. For the sake of clarity, I didn't mean to go into that today, but I'll have to do it because he brought up some interesting points. And I think some things need to be explained to the Bahamian people. Because a lot of you out there do not know the difference between party representation and parliamentary representation. And he said how his own family turned against him because they're politically polarized. People who know you, people who grow up with you, turn against you. How we get like that? And the man has talent, ability, potential to help his country. He wants to help his country. And I believe there are thousands of young people out there like that. Now, young people, let me say this to you. Do not get discouraged because of certain personalities who may be in power today, who have a little bit of authority. And they use their authority to hold you back or get in your way or try to block you from progressing. That's unfortunate. But there must be another way. There has to be a way to deal with those kind of people, Bahamians, and the Constitution tells you how to deal with that. The Constitution also tells you how to deal with some other people. People on the ground, in your constituency, in your nation. And if you're trusting in God, relying on God, depending on God, you will have challenges. I believe we have a caller on the line. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Hey, how are you, man?
And good afternoon, Bahamas. Professor,
Yes,
before I put my question, I want to let everybody know how we learn this Constitution, man. I got to let everybody know how we learn this Constitution. Every Tuesday night around 10 o'clock or Wednesday, one of them nights.
Uh-huh.
I can't call it name. Every night around 10 o'clock, man, we just study and just mark everything you say. Needs to mark my stuff down in the book, man.
Yeah, that was on Tuesday night. Yeah.
Tuesday night, eh?
Yeah.
Boy, you need to tell people how we learn the Constitution. Every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's no morning, 10 o'clock at night.
10 at nighttime, yeah. That was
I know, but listen, let me put this question to them. Listen here. If they say, Mr. So-and-so, I give you authorized a nice piece of crown land, that's for you.
Yes.
Only thing I got to say to that is long time waiting, thank you, and is the Constitution sound?
Yes.
That's all I can say. But first I can do one more and I go on.
Uh-huh.
What we talked about yesterday, but the secret of all the companies. After I come off the show, I had a question. What I want the National Intelligence Branch to ask. Those things were secret, but people who sold them, where they get the authorization from? I'm not asking. I want the National Intelligence Branch to ask. These things was high-level secret, and these people start to sell them. Where they get the authority from? I'm not asking. I want the National Intelligence Branch to do that asking. And first, I go on this.
Okay.
I see up on the tourism. I could keep this for Friday, but like I said, anyhow, to get it off my mind. I been up by the hospital the other day, and I see all kind of tourists by the 66 steps. When are we gonna put that statue, Columbus statue, back so we could tell the tourists they was looking for the lost tribe of Hebrews? And if
Okay.
anyone say anything about that statue, say we do not move evidence from the crime scene. Professor, I ain't gonna look all your time. Go
Okay.
on.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, he talked about the Constitution. Of course, the Constitution is. Oh, we have another caller. My producer's telling me, call you live on here. Go ahead, please.
Professor, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Yes, I am regaining my confidence by calling your show at this particular radio station.
Yes, sir.
You know, I have lost that because the personality that was there before had a problem with little alpha male man.
Well, why
But
should
God
they
have a way of doing things.
Why should they have a problem with
Well,
that?
they always did. And I was born, but I've been in the world so long now, Dr. King said it really doesn't matter.
Yes, sir.
I've seen the promised land, and I may not reach there with you. But it's right now, I don't fear anyone, any land. Now, I want to talk about our poorly socialized society, if you would you allow me to, please.
Yes, sir.
Professor, this is by design worldwide, globally, the poorly socialized society. And let me say locally, I don't want to get in international, I'm going to deal with locally. We heard what happened yesterday, etc.
Yes.
And up to 75, I think it is.
It's 77 now.
77. I
Yeah.
don't know, but God still have the last say. I'll say what Mama say, God have the last say.
Yes, he does.
But the FNM and PLP has sold this country a blank check.
Okay.
And on that check, Dr. Kings, mark insufficient funds. What do I mean? We are electing members on both sides. I say the two parties because they're the two major parties that serve this country.
Well, they had the authority to be the government of Bahamas for 51 years plus.
Right. Both sides, they do not believe in traditional family. They don't. I don't care what they tell me. They don't demonstrate the values. They don't execute the values. And what they do, they sell a lie during an election time that they could fix it.
Okay.
One party sell a lie, put up all kind of billboards. I'm old enough to know that. I've been voting from 72. Then you got the next party, oh, they have the answer. And I'm asking the question, how can you fix a society without fixing the family? They don't believe in family, and that's how we end up with this poorly socialized society. And many of them have these children. The former minister for social service had 7 children. He had 7 children, and I can't remember if he was married. I cannot remember if the former member of social service was married, but he had 7 children. And want to tell me who was married with children in family how to live. Tell me, how could you fix that when you have different values from me? Tell me, show me how can that be done. Professor, explain that.
Well, you asked a very good question.
And this is continuing today. We are electing people want to sell a lie that they can fix society. How you can't do that. You got to first fix the family. But the group of liberal feminists that one prime minister look out for, I'm not going to call his name. Then you had another prime minister who went and look out for all the effeminate men. I'm not going to call any name. They know who they are. There was a prime minister who emasculated all the men and look out for all the feminists. Then the feminine, you had another one looking for all the feminine men. And nothing, in no policy, no example, no effort was paid as to what's going on with the traditional family. And we have them on right now elected today on both sides, the FNM and the PLP. parading around like ministers of this and ministers of that, and do not believe in the traditional family. And you cannot fix society without fixing the family. And that's how we end up with this poorly socialized nation. And I have no regrets, no regards. I've been in the world a long time now, so it really doesn't matter. You cannot fix a nation without fixing the family. I just don't see how it could happen.
Okay, well, let's see what some others are going to say on that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your contribution, Dr. P. Dr. P is saying the family needs to be fixed. I agree with him. We don't have strong families. I can remember my mother and father. And I can tell you with my generation, we have seen a deterioration in standards. Some family members are holding on to what was taught them and are bringing it to their children. But too many of us have fallen off some very strong, unchangeable standards that go for generations. We've allowed that to break up the family, and people become very individualistic. We are not family-oriented anymore. We have to get back to that. It's going to take a lot of hard work now, but then if you have personalities, as Dr. P mentioned, who do not believe in the traditional family, mother, father, children, that doesn't mean anything to them. And if you have a ministry set up that caters not to the traditional family, which is the mother, the father, and the children, and mommy and daddy is supposed to take care of those children. And you have people who are doing things that are not helpful to the country. We have another caller on the line. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, say, brother D.
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah, everything good. Yeah, man, I mean, the traditional family going down. See, you got to realize this. You know, I go up with my mother. My dad wasn't around, but
yes,
I had uncles and cousins and brothers and was there. I was acting, playing a role. So you got to realize that these days and time now, it is no one in the house because the kids are moving out. When they're making some money now, so they don't want to, you know, they're moving out at an early age, and then they're not building no family because, you know, social media and all this are telling them that you don't need no family no more of that. You know, women them say they could raise these men, they're showing them up by themselves.
Well, that's a mistake. That's a big mistake.
And then they sit down, and when they lay down in the bed, they realize that they realize that it's a mistake for sure.
But they have to admit it.
But they ain't admitting that. These women and men, they ain't admitting nothing. A woman, hey, if they realize some women will go, the roof will fall on top of them, and they wouldn't call the one help. You understand where I come from? They know they're struggling with these kids and everything and all that, and they arcing out in the road, and people's face is like everything is good. It ain't good. You only harming the kids.
So what has happened to the fathers now? Because
because you got to realize this, not to cut you off. You got to realize some of these ladies, they end up meeting these guys who was not on their level. They just being on a one night stand. They might meet them, and then after they find out with some of them, then they don't want them no more. They see a lot of these women and men, they're looking for high class now. They're looking with the grain. They look over in someone's yard and see plenty grain, but they didn't know that was false grass. When they jump over, the grass wasn't real. You understand what I come from?
Yes, sir.
So they don't want to water. They see a couple of green, little brown patches and everything. They don't want to water that or put some nutrients and everything in the grass. They looking to see the grass to be green 24/7, 365 days. They ain't want, grass on. If you don't water them grass, they can turn brown on you.
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
So these people in society now, they don't want that. They want everything to be balanced or over or not even balanced. They want it to be higher than them. So a woman making almost 6-7 figures, she want a man who making 12-13 figures. You understand what I'm
yeah,
So to make them feel like they high class. So when they go there, they look like they everything is good and well done and everything and sexy, and they feel more like they up in society where people them can look at them and they say, yeah, she don't get and everything and all that. But then they don't work like that.
But that's materialism.
And that's why I'm hurting plenty of them now. And the kids, and then hurting the kids because
yes, it is.
It's just because we can have families in this country. These people them don't want it. They don't want to fight for it. They don't wanna. You know, back in the days, the women them used to, because they had to be home and cook and do all that, and they didn't
Yes.
really have that much resources. Now these women have a lot of resources, and they get their own mind and making more. 90% of the women making more money than man. So you think they can be worrying with this and that and all that? They holding up and everything. They ain't worrying with the man now. If he go, he go. They
Well,
ain't worrying about it. And then the kids, they could buy the kids what they need and everything and all that.
yeah, but that's terrible.
And-
Like Dr. P said, traditional family, it's not,
But-
it's breaking up.
Yeah,
Or
but you have
not
to realize.
there.
But Dr. T, listen, Professor. You have to worry about this. See the thing, Mr. Professor. What's going wrong is the family didn't preach it to their kids. Them. See, this has to be instilled in these kids, you know.
Okay.
You can't be a mother and daddy in the house and you treat and you don't bringing them up to let them we got to eat by the table.
Yes.
You have to say prayers together.
Yes.
You daddy and mommy in the house. Well, they in the room one way, dad in the room one one way, and turn them in the room eating and say, man, I had to sit at the table and I can watch TV while I is eating.
Yes.
So they causing the problem. You can have mommy and dad. Listen to me good. When I was growing up, I didn't have no daddy, but I had uncles and everything. They used to cut my hip. And what it is that these and then everything went well. I go up and I go up as a young, strong man, and I teach and I show these kids them who go up with their daddy and their mother. Some of them in jail now. See, you understand? Come up. A lot of these people who go up with their mother and father in jail now. They doing all that with the criminal activity and this and that and all that. So it ain't really with the mommy and family, you know. It's the way how you instill things in these kids' head.
Okay.
Because you could bring them up and they could go from their mommy and daddy, and you don't steal them in their head put something in their head from their young.
Yes.
That don't mean nothing.
Okay.
And that's the problem we having in this country right now. They are not. They have these kids like their best friend. You can't have these
That's
kids like
not
your
good,
your
no.
best friends. Them.
No. I
You
could not be no best friend with my mother. and
No,
father.
I can't be.
I always would be a child there.
These kids,
always.
The way I see how these kids is talking to mommy and daddy, my mother never hear me curse. My mother, a big old man, she never hear me curse or nothing. I don't want to say things I don't want to see me doing.
Yeah.
These kids, them cursing and doing everything right in front of their mommy them, and they laughing up. So what you think? What you think happening?
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
it go
you-
deep in this, you know, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir.
This thing go deep. You could go up with your mommy and daddy, but if they don't put their foot down on these kids, ain't nothing. That don't mean nothing.
Okay. Well, I
You know?
thank you for your contribution. It's a very good
Yeah.
contribution. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so we had two callers talking about the traditional family, and Dr. P, he strongly believes in traditional family. I do myself. That's how I was brought up. And of course, today things have changed. Parents are not strong on discipline and character. You have to train children. They have to be taught. If you leave them wide open, the enemy is going to come in and take them over. And we're having too many problems. We're losing the male child in this country. The fathers are not in the lives of these young boys. That is a major problem. And then you have the financial side of it, where the female believes she's making more money, she should be in control. I know I could bring up these children by myself. I don't need no man, whatever. That's another aspect you need to look at in the family. And so the family is divided. We don't eat together. We don't communicate. They're texting at one another table. I even see this in certain members of my own family. Where is the voice communication? I like to talk to people over the telephone or talk to them voice from your voice to my voice. How come we don't want to communicate like that today? We've gotten so into this texting that, we don't want to even speak to one another. Send him one text. What has happened to your voice? Say, I like the voice. Because God uses his voice, I can use mine. Ain't text. God don't send no text, He wrote things in the Bible so you could remember, and it goes from generation to generation. So it's there and it's passed on from one generation to the next. Texts get lost, but we have a lot of things, Bahamians, we have to work on. And I'm happy that those callers called in about the family. The family is really torn apart. I'm discouraged by what the lady had to say, and she was just frustrated, very frustrated. And, I heard it twice on the radio. Oh, 3 times, I believe. I must have heard that. And we have to be very careful what we say publicly, because even though you may be stressed out, some things you just do not say. And it's how you say it. And it's unfortunate the lady didn't get any guidance, any instruction as to how she should have used caution and restraint. And just saying those things like that, out like that, is not helpful to her, is not helpful for the family. And I blame the media for carrying it like that. The media should be more responsible. And this ain't the first time this has happened. It's been going on for too long now. I need to cut this foolishness out. There is a better way to do it, to help this woman whose son was destroyed right in her yard or right in front of her. And she heard the gunshots and run out of the house, looking for Oral. I think that's his first name. I'm not sure the last name. It might be Roberts. I'm not sure. But the point is that, these children are to be raised to have a future. Now he's gone. He's not with us now. So that's a vacancy in that family. You know how many families are hurting today because relatives have been murdered, relatives have been sick, and they died under some very mysterious circumstances because of bad decisions made by certain other family members. Do you know that? That's happening. And all this is bring pain and suffering. That's all it does. And people are all stressed out. And you wonder why people are not living long enough. People die from heart attacks, from strokes. I had a family member that is suffering from a stroke and having the same name that I have, by the way, the first name. And when a certain doctor was told who it was, he thought it was me. And I said it in jest, I said, when you get as young as I am, strokes just pass over you. They don't bother you anymore. The thing is, we have to be careful how we handle our bodies, how we handle our lives. Because I like living. I want to continue living. We're helping that particular member who had that problem. And I actually was there when it happened. But the thing is that we have to help our brothers and our sisters in these stressful, difficult, trying times, baby. Some things I wanted to even talk about, I haven't even gotten on to it. But these social problems, what Dr. P mentioned and the other caller mentioned, are very, very serious. We have to look at it, Bahamians. We just can't keep ignoring it. We have to look at it, see what we can do to improve the quality of life socially in our country. We have too many social problems, too much fighting, too much lack of understanding. We don't understand each other. Of course, the lack of the Constitution has a lot to do with it. I didn't want to really get into that today. But I just want to say that we have to learn to look out for each other, help one another, inspire one another. We're not doing enough of that. People reach a crossroad in their lives, but they're not sure how to get across to the other side unless someone or some people help them to cross the road to get to the other side. I saw an example of that yesterday where someone on the bus helped a blind man. The bus stopped right in front of us. And we wondered what was going on. And then we saw someone come out of the bus to help a blind man to get across the street. and make sure he was safely on the sidewalk and going where he needed to go. And then that person left and went back into the bus. I thought that was very good. We need to see more of that happening in the country. Let us be helpful to the less fortunate and people who are stressed out because they have problems and they're not thinking straight. So they're going to say things that are not necessarily in your best interest and neither in their best interest. So you're going to have people that would do that. But we have to help them nevertheless. So Bahamians, we got some other issues I wanted to talk about, the traffic problems, the many cars we have on the street. Bahamians, where are we going with all of this? We got to put a moratorium in place. There's just too much traffic on the streets. And then you have these huge vehicles that roam up and down in the streets. I had the music in the background. The man tell me I need to shut up. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is Express Yourself. Time for you to express yourself, Bahamians. We'll be back after the break.
Spread yourself.
To Blue Hill Road. It's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Yeah, let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Yeah. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on Express Yourself, Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. I got a comment on Facebook where someone is saying that there are those who want instant success. They don't want to grow. They just want it right away. Life does not operate like that. Even the plant, you got to put the seed in the ground. The seed has to die. Then the tree has to grow up before it even begins to bear fruit. So it takes some time before you will see results. Now, remember now, I sent up a challenge to you July the 8th. That's about 23 days ago. All right, because we're 21 days into the 52nd year. And I said to you, and this is where the constituents can do something in their constituency. One major constituency problem to be solved within 18 months. That's all you need. Just 18 months to finish that. Just one. Because you got plenty in there now. Let's deal with that one. That one solving would do a lot of good for the constituency. It will give the people hope. You don't need to wait on no particular personality to do that. I told you it's constitutionally sound, it's legally sound, and it's biblically sound. I said you have to have some righteous people to run the thing now. You got to give that authority, that support, your financial backing and everything else to a group of righteous people in your constituency. That's the only way it could work. And then also, in addition to that, 51% or more of you in that particular constituency must become righteous in your dealings one with another. And the constituency is headed for progress. That's what we have to do, Bahamians. Instead of having all of these problems keep piling up. Now you can deal with, and let me just say this, unless someone don't misunderstand what I'm saying. You talk about personalities who've been elected, given a responsibility, they're not doing their job, we can deal with that. Let's not spend too much time on personalities who are not doing their job. Let us do our job. And you have an interest in your particular constituency to protect your interests. The word interest is plural, more than one. And you're going to let yourself suffer because a particular personality is not doing his or her job. And you just sit back and say, you're not going to do anything. Come on, babies, we got to do better than that. There's nothing stopping you from taking the appropriate action that is essential to bring change on the ground in your community. Nothing. Except yourself, of course. Now, I'm going to push this very hard because you asked me, Professor, what is it we can do? And I'm telling you what we can do. Just one. One major constituency problem. We could do that in 18 months. Now we're already 3 weeks, 21 days. This is the 21st day. I mean, we can't let another 3 weeks go by and you ain't do nothing. You ain't saying nothing. You're not acting. You're not coming together. You're not making the kind of strides that are essential to bring change. It's important. And if you don't know, you call me and I'll help you to do it. I told you that. I'm not going to waste time with this Bahamians. If you don't know and you don't understand, you say, Professor, I don't understand. I want you to come in and help me to do it. I'll come right there and help you to do it. So you ain't got no excuse, none whatsoever under the sun, because I can make sure you ain't have no excuse. So you don't have to waste time with personalities who are not doing their job. Yes, the Lord will take care of them. So don't get caught up. See, too many times we get caught up with the negativity and we do nothing positive to change anything. I want to see change, Bahamians. You think I like it the way it is? I don't. You have what Dr. P say about the traditional family? I believe in the traditional family. There's some cracks that I see in my own family, and I can work hard to change that. Because I'm sure my mother and father and my grandparents before them would not be pleased with some of the things they see happening today. They wouldn't be pleased. So we have to do better, Bahamians. We must put effort into bringing about results. And don't worry too much about the fellow who ain't doing his job. We can deal with them. But don't just sit down and do nothing. So you ain't got no excuse. I can make sure you ain't gonna have no excuse. Because I said to you, if you don't know how to do it, I'll be happy to come and help you to make it happen. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please. Caller, you there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Yeah, okay. All right, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'd be saying the same thing over and over, but it's just going to take a matter of time. The crime situation,
Yes.
like I stated earlier,
Yes, sir.
only thing that needs to happen to curb this crime situation
Yes.
is for the rules and regulations that we have on the books, they just need to be enforced.
Yeah, you said that.
Reinforced.
Yes, that is true.
You do that, and I guarantee you, these people who going around here killing, they'll have a second thought because they know that their lives will be taken away as well.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
So, that's a done deal. If that happens, that will happen. You see, some things need to happen for things to happen, Professor.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. And this is why I am saying to the people, and that's why I threw the challenge out. Because we can't keep sitting around. We've been sitting around for 51 years and we ain't seen nothing happen. 51 years, man. You know how long that is? Going through the same foolishness over and over and over and over again. And they said, Professor, what is it we can do? I said, okay, let me give you an experiment. 18 months, let's get it done. Okay, now I challenge them. And I say to them, if you ain't sure how to move, call Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. I'll come right in there and show you how to do it. So they have no excuse to say they didn't know. I am going to make sure that that does not happen. So they can't blame nobody. Well, Professor, we didn't know. See, I challenging them. I want to work. Give me my 18 months and let me do something.
Professor?
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate everything that you say. Matter of fact, I'm with you 110%. However, the powers that be, and I ain't just talking about this government that's in power now.
Yes.
Successive governments.
Successive administration.
Administration.
Yeah, okay. It's only one government.
Right. But successive administrations, they are hell-bent on corruption. That's
Okay.
the bottom line. I mean, you spoke on previous shows.
Yes.
Check your track record.
Yes, I agree. I said that. Yes.
Okay? So their track record has been evolved around corruption time and repeatedly. I don't care if it's red. I don't care if it's yellow. It has been the same way all the time. Different players, same game. And if the Bahamian people haven't gotten that through this, let me calm down. If they ain't get it, really, if they ain't get it,
Listen,
Professor.
Caller, stay on the line because I'm enjoying this conversation. Let me say this to you.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things I will have to repeat repeatedly on air to get through the psyche of the Bahamian people, you have to repeat it over and over and over and over. You're talking about 51 years plus, man. You got to tunnel through. That is not easy to do. But then at the same time, we have to make some hard decisions. And it may very well be difficult for people to recognize the fact that the very same people you were giving this authority to do are the very ones who undermine you for 51 years. That's a harsh reality. I have to face it. You have to face it. So what are you going to do about it? You're going to keep sitting there and allowing it to happen, or are you prepared? The Constitution gives you authority to do it. To make some decision to protect your interests, Article 24(1). It's constitutionally sound, it is biblically sound, it is legally sound. So why wait? Why are you sitting back waiting to do what? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm saying, hold on, caller. I am saying we can deal with those particular personalities who are not doing their job. The Constitution gives you the authority to deal with them. But the point is, if we keep on thinking about the negative thoughts and the negative things entering into our heart, instead of saying, you know something, we can do something about this right here, right now. And that's why I throw out the challenge. See, I didn't just throw that out lightly. I thought about that very seriously. And I looked at it and I said, yes, there is something you can do. But we can't just keep sitting back in the dark, hiding and doing nothing. That's not going to help. See, thousands of young people out there want a future. You heard Mr. Hanschel, the young man who called into the show today. He said the problems that he is having, you do not stress out young people like that. Why do we want to do that? Why would leaders in this country do something like that? I know of another person in my own family who was stressed out. The same way what happened to Hanschel happened to that particular young man. So I know what he's talking about because I went through that with that particular member in my own family. I know about that. But we have to face the harsh reality that, listen, the very same people you gave this tremendous authority and power to are the very ones who undermine you. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, and Professor, you know, like the father of our nation said, if we are not willing to fight for our country, we don't deserve to have it.
That's what he
and
said,
this
yes.
is where we are at right now, because look at the track record
Yes.
of the past administrations.
Yes.
You see, a leopard is not going to change his spot.
I ain't gonna change them spot.
They didn't show you exactly what their agenda is.
Yes.
They come to you, they paint this pretty picture, oh, we could do this, we could do the next thing. Has any of it actually ever happened? They start, how many groundbreaking you going to do for one clinic on the Family Island?
That's a good
How
question.
many?
That's a good question.
How many? You're going to ground break here, you're going to ground. Pretty soon there ain't going to be no ground to break. Because why? They're going to end up selling it away and giving it away.
Yes. That's
And
another,
it's not going to be to the Bahamians.
that's another
That's the
problem.
sad part.
That is another major problem.
Professor, you know, I don't know what it's going to take for, at least for me. I can speak for me in my house. We're
Yes.
sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes, sir.
And I have not voted for either one of these parties for at least about five elections. And
Yes,
I have
sir.
no intentions of doing it.
Yes, sir.
Now, there's another party out there, and a lot of people have a little issue with them. But my thing is, I know what I got. I'm willing to give the other man a chance. I am willing to give them a chance. And I don't think that he's going to do as bad as these previous administrations. Matter of fact, yes, he's saying what he's going to do, or his party, because it's not just him. However,
let me just
go ahead.
let me throw out a suggestion to you. The Constitution allows for parties. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I have a problem with? I have a problem with people who have been given the authority to run this place and not carry out their constitutional responsibilities. What we need to deal with now is we need to look at the character element to make sure that we get the fit and proper person, the right person in that particular constituency. This is where constituents have to organize themselves, come together to find the best possible person to represent them in the House of Assembly. We need to understand that because the party system has failed us miserably. We gave this one party large number of seats. In fact, the man got, how much he got? 35? 35 seats.
5 seats.
How many more do you want out of 39? The other one had 4. Now this time, they give the fella 7 on one side and the rest on the other side. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I believe. Yes, sir.
You know, but then again, going back to what you just said,
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of people are not aware of what the Constitution says.
That's the
And I
problem.
could almost guarantee you, out of those 39 that's there in Parliament,
Yes, sir.
more than 80% of them do not know what the Constitution says.
I'll go even higher. I'll go even
100.
higher than that.
100?
99% of them. 99% of them. And the 1% who think they know, they don't even know.
Exactly.
That's the problem
I'm
with
just
it.
trying to be a little generous, Professor.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your contribution, man.
Yes,
You
yes,
need,
my
listen,
brother.
you know what I want you to do? Leave your name and number with the producer for me.
Okay.
So we
No
can
problem.
talk further. I think you make some good suggestions, some good comments. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. And I
Okay.
appreciate you seeing me in that view.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Bruce, we have another caller? Oh, caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Professor,
Yeah. What happened to you, man?
you
How
had me
come,
inside the ice box, man.
how come you so late, man?
Listen,
You got to do better than that.
yeah.
But
Joshua
anyhow, thank you
said-
very much for calling.
Joshua said, for me and my house,
We will serve the Lord.
we're going to serve the Lord. Back
Well, we
then,
have to start doing it then.
when the house, the family used to rise up together,
Yes.
it's not like that anymore. Something have gone wrong from in that Garden of Eden. Something have gone wrong. And when God say, Adam, where art thou? Adam was missing. We allow the enemy to step in our home.
Yes.
And what we do? We blame in the government. We have to take responsibility. Every household got to take responsibility and get their house in order.
Okay, I don't have a problem with what you're saying there. Now, let me ask you this question. What is the responsibility of the government?
The responsibility of the government is to regularize laws and put things in place
Okay.
for the people.
Okay. Is that happening?
No.
Okay. All right, go on then. Just go on. Go on. Yeah.
And you spoke about hanging.
Yes.
The government was put here to take responsibility to do the things that they know what they're supposed to do. You speak about hanging or whatever,
Yes.
but we will never see that here no more. You see who up on the government hill? That woman will never sign nothing for nobody to get hanged. I can tell you that. You could take that from here to pilot.
Okay.
They put these people in place knowing that they ain't gonna sign that because why? It will be against her Christianity,
Okay.
and she know that. But they want these positions. But when they get there, they won't do nothing. Seat. You hear me?
Yes.
We have to stop joking and put the right people in these places that who we know. Now, this what I hire you for to do.
Let's get it done.
Do your job.
Okay.
If you don't do your job, move
You have to be
It ain't
gone.
gonna happen.
Yes.
It ain't gonna happen. You see? So that is the reason why you said put the right people.
No, you have to.
Sometimes
Yes, that's correct.
it's appear like we putting the right people.
No, we could know. We could know
And
way ahead of time.
When they get there, it's like when they reach in there, like something going over their head. You wonder if this the person they put inside there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you have a
Change.
point. You have a point. You have a point.
It change. Right now, what is going on now? They have pastors are fighting against one another. This one
That's
is
the
saying,
problem.
the Lord tell me the PLP can get in. The next one saying, the Lord tell me the F and M. Is God divided? God is not divided.
Carla, you know, all of those people who ran in the last election who say God told them this, God told them that, not a single one of them has come back and apologized to the Bahamian people. All the lies they told in that election.
But we still allowing these people to preach to us, allowing these people to tell us things. We should know that these people are false. And this is what problem. Don't forget Paula White. When Paula White started speaking in tongue and la 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 la, and tell Trump the Lord say he gonna be the president.
The president, yeah.
You see what happened?
Yeah.
Huh? Now Donald Trump is like a crazy man, running up and down telling Christian, you all vote, get out and vote. Let's seal the deal for the next 4 years. Just seal the deal.
No.
So then Jolik them is behind him, and they are pushing him, and they is giving him his script, what to say when he get to the media. He's reading off a paper.
Oh, okay. That's what Donald comes to now? He ain't his own man no more then.
Carmelita tell him, come on. Come, bring it on. Let's go.
She can prosecute him. I think he's got his match this time.
I can see you later.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Well, I've had some interesting callers today. And Bahamians, please listen carefully. You asked me, Professor, what is it we can do? I give you the challenge. Don't deny me my 18 months. Because I want to work. I want to see something happen in this country, Bahamians. It can happen in every single constituency at the same time. One major constituency problem solved in 18 months. One, you need righteous people to head the project. Number two, you need the support of the constituents to make it work. Number three, 51% or more of the people in your particular constituency must become righteous in their dealings one with another. Then that constituency is headed for progress. 3 weeks already passed, Bahamians. We got to get cracking on this thing. You want to see change? Well, then let's bring about the change. Let us do the right thing to bring it about. We got to be honest. See, I'm going to be honest with you. So you ain't get no lies out of Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. Because you'll find that what I say today, you could play this 50 years down the road and it'll be the same thing. Because I'm not deviating from that, Bahamians. I want to come and be responsible when I say something to you. And you could check the evidence to see whether Professor Thompson is saying the right thing when it comes to the Constitution. I wasn't supposed to get into the Constitution today, but it just came up. But the point is, Bahamians, you can't get on without your Constitution. That is your salvation document. That's all you have. And of course, you have the Holy Bible to go along with it. But we got to change this place, Bahamians. Now, don't deny me my 18 months, because I can be on your case for that. I'm prepared to work because we got thousands and thousands of young people want a future in this country. And we who are supposed to be the older generation, we have to set an example for them. I hear the music in the background. The man tell me I got to come off here. This has been Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Have a very pleasant afternoon.